Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome to Goal Line Hockey Live number 12. Pretty interesting start. I know I didn't get to do what I wanted to do, so I thank you guys for waiting. But shout out to the beginning of this game already. The Sabres and the Leafs, they did the national anthem, and I don't know if the lady didn't know the song or it cut out the connection on the microphone, but shout out to the people there in Toronto singing the national anthem for the US. That was pretty nice. With that said, I believe you guys have already started getting going in here. So, welcome to the chat. Yo, we got a super chat, $2.49 euros from Toe. Just some beer money. Thank you, Toe. I appreciate that. What else you guys saying in here? Go Sabres. Hey, what's going on, Morgan? What's up, Urban? What's up, Toe? It's 1:39 here. Shout out to Toe. And we are here for Puck Drop. I promised I would be here for Puck Drop. We are here. So let's see what happens. This is a big game tonight for the Sabres. They're trying to fight to stay in the playoff race. So I would assume they're going to be motivated tonight, to say the least. So we'll see what happens. The math is starting to not look so good for them, but we'll see what happens here. Yes, Matt Murray is in net tonight. We'll see how that goes. And I assume for the Sabres, it's UPL, but I don't actually know yet. And I'm waiting to see while they're saying the lineup. They didn't say. Oh, it is Craig Anderson. So it's Craig Anderson for the Sabres and Matt Murray for your Toronto Maple Leafs. So this should be kind of an interesting matchup. Again, the last time these two teams met, it did not go so well for the Sabres at home. I think it was something like 7-3 or 7-2 for the Leafs in Buffalo. I think the Sabres are going to look to exact revenge here tonight. This should be a really good game. Like I said, the Sabres at this point, it's seeming like desperation mode at this point. And for the Leafs, they're still trying to maybe get home ice advantage in the first round. With the way the Lightning have been playing, it seems more likely. I don't know what happened there. That was Gergensen just ran into the net. That was weird. Penn since 2017. Yo, Toe, that's a great point. Yeah, it is. Oh, no. You guys are talking about Steve Dangle? Oh, no. How's it going, PJ? Great day for me. Back-to-back goal line hockey streams. Yeah, you're right. You're right there, PJ. Shout out to you. Urban said both goalies were terrible last. Something about Minnesota. I feel like the puck is hard to see in Mullet Arena. I think that's partially the lighting at Mullet Arena, and probably some of that has to do with it not being an NHL rink, but are really set up for NHL hockey and for national broadcasting and things like that. Yeah, that was a big win for the Flames last night. Yeah, they played really well against the Senators. It was 5-1, I think, right? Oh, Toe's parlay flopped. And what happened with that Predators Ducks game? I didn't actually see that one. And I was saying that maybe Toe should have put the Predators over the Ducks in that, but 3 of the 4 lost. Oh man. It's a Leafs hate song. What is that? What is it? Yeah, the Predators end up winning that game. Yeah, I'm shocked it went to overtime. Oh, jeez. That's funny. Also on tonight, Colorado and Montreal. Kind of an interesting game there in the Bell Center. I assume the Avalanche will play quite well, but the Habs have kind of stayed in there for the most part this season. They've lost a lot of games, but they've kept it closer than their roster maybe would indicate that they would. And then tonight at 10 o'clock, the Dallas Stars go into Seattle to take on the Kraken as they continue their West Coast road trip. So that should be a really good game as well. Yeah, you guys don't like the Leafs. You guys are hysterical. The only reason I'm cheering for the Leafs tonight is because I don't want the Sabres getting the Islanders playoff spot. Great chance there for the Leafs. Yeah, Cousins is probably going to be the next captain there in Buffalo. I think he's a really good player, and they talk so much when he was drafted about how he's going to have to probably replace. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, as a Capitals fan, you want the Sabres to lose, right? Um, when Dylan Cousins was drafted, you have to remember the context at the time, right? A lot of it was this was the year after they traded Ryan O'Reilly. This was just a couple of weeks after in Vegas, Ryan O'Reilly won the Stanley Cup. I think he won another award like this. I think not the was it the Selkie? He won the Hart, something like that. And Ryan O'Reilly had a really good season, and the Sabres felt that they needed to get that type of player back in their organization. And that's who Dylan Cousins by the day is kind of showing what he's capable of becoming. He'll probably be the next captain there in Buffalo, I would think. Really good player. Morgan said, "Why not root for the baby goat, Tage Thompson?" That's funny. He won the Conn Smythe. Thank you, Toe. Yes. And I think he won another award. I don't know if it was the Selkie or the Art or the Hart. I think he won another one too. Yeah, it was the Selkie. Yep. Thank you, Toe. He did really well that season, and I think that definitely rubbed Sabres fans the wrong way, right? Like, what was that? He got 3 or 4 trophies that year after leaving Buffalo. I think that definitely left a sour taste in most Sabres fans' mouth, and the fact that he did so well when he left right away definitely was kind of an indicator he just needed to change his scenery there. And for Toronto, what's the latest on my super chat is glitched? Uh-oh. What happened there, PJ? What's going on with Ryan O'Reilly? Speaking of O'Reilly, I think he's still injured. What happened? Yo, we got a super chat. Shout out to Ange with the $5. How's it going? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you. I expect this to be a scoring game, and not only because the goalies aren't really playing that well, but the fact these two teams are very offensively minded. And you're already seeing a couple odd man rushes here early in the game. I think we're going to see some goals tonight. I'm excited for a pretty action packed offensive mindset of a game. Yeah, he's got a broken finger, so he's on LTIR. So probably means O'Reilly could be out for the rest of the regular season, which that really sucks for the Leafs. That's really it. Definitely is not good for the people that want trades at the deadline because it's like, well, if we trade for the guy, he might end up being injured anyway, right? That's definitely a shame. You want these teams at full health come playoff time. And I think that now you're already going into it with the mindset that maybe O'Reilly's going to be maybe pushing it with a finger injury in the playoffs. He'll be there for game one. I just think that it's more precautionary at this point than anything, but we'll see how it plays out. Morgan said, I mean, he's not wrong. Mitch is always talking about his dog and video game. About always talking about his dog and video games. That guy is Brad Marchand. The way he's been making fun of some of the Leafs players. He was making fun of some of the reporters. Yeah, he's a pretty interesting character. Love him or hate him, some of his takes are pretty hysterical, and that's for Brad Marchand. Good start for the Leafs here in the first 5 minutes. They have the first 3 shots. And a big old goose egg so far for the Sabres. Not a single shot on net. Morgan saying, I hate Mitch. He's literally always talking about his dang dog and video games. Yeah, and remember who took a lot of heat for talking about video games a lot? And that was Patrick Laine back in the day. Kind of a similar situation, right? It's a little bit different, but nonetheless, I think people say, "Oh, you should spend that time, you know, developing your game, right, and trying to win a Stanley Cup." I think that argument is valid, especially with the amount of money they make, but to each their own. Welcome, guys, to the chat. Thank you for joining us, and make sure to like the video. Helps us out a ton here at Goal Line Hockey. Is Brad Marchand a rat or a Leafs first round exit cup? Yeah, I think the most horrifying right now for the Leafs is getting bounced in the first round again. I don't think they'll be happy if they get bounced in the second round either. Like, I think that's only going to go so far. Toe said, well, Line had an absurd amount of hours in Fortnite. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, when you're that big of a figure, people are able to figure that stuff out, and it's definitely not a good look. So let's see what's going on in Montreal. The Habs and the Avalanche, which used to be back in the day, a little bit of a rivalry. Let's see what's going on there. I think a lot of it has to do with. I would assume a lot of it has to do with the Patrick Wade and everything that kind of happened after the fallout from him leaving the Habs. But nonetheless, I think it's still I mean, two very big franchises in the NHL, if nothing else. You mean get swept? Yeah, you guys are definitely on the bandwagon of seeing them get swept in the first round. I don't know. I don't know. I'm very interested to see what would happen though. Like, I want to see all the alternate universes where the Leafs get bounced in the first round, the second round, the third round, and the Cup final. Which one would they be the most accepting of, and which one would they be the most upset by? Like, I don't know what would be more upsetting if they lost in the first round again, or they made it all the way to the Cup final and lost. I don't know which one they'd be more upset with. Maybe it's if they did like Montreal, right, where they have a 3-1 series lead and blow it. He's doing good. Oh, and let him out. Let me know. What are you guys thinking? Urban said Patrick Waugh, a man of jumping ship. Yeah, yeah, you're pretty much spot on there, Urban. Either way, somebody getting fired. Yeah, that's true. I wonder, and that's another good point because Dubas is on the final year of his deal. What the heck? Yeah, that was pretty bad. During the national anthem, they're re-showing the national anthem where they're kind of singing it because it just died, which is kind of funny, but nonetheless. Morgan said, "I have Mitch Marner is like, I just got an update on NHL 23. The whole rest of NHL and even AHL players, nobody cares." Yeah, and again, when you're making so much money playing for the NHL and fans pay the amount of money they do for tickets and hot dogs and soda and things like that, you kind of have the argument like maybe you shouldn't be so vocal about that, right? I think that's valid. Yeah, so far it just seems like for the most part the Leafs defense has been good, which I think that it's definitely been a different look. Like that's why I have more confidence in this Leafs team than I've ever had. Like it's always been the same story the past couple of years, right? Their defense isn't very good. They can score goals, but can they outscore their opponents? I really think their biggest issue is can their not their defense hold up, their goaltending. is their goaltending going to be good enough? And that's really going to be the bigger factor. If they can limit that and kind of do what Colorado did last year, like you don't need a great goalie, but just good enough because of your defense. They just got to make the right saves. That might be good enough, but I don't know. I'm always hesitant with that, right? Good play by Tage Thompson. Toe said, thanks, Leafs, for Sandine. He has been on fire. He has been really good since he came to the Capitals. And he fits the mold, right? Isn't he he's a Swedish defenseman, like a perfect fit for the Capitals, right? I mean, I'm not shocked at all that the Capitals ended up going for him. Yo, we got a super chat, $2.79 Canadian. Thank you so much, PJ. He said all-time hockey starting five. Do you mean five like three forwards and two defensemen? You got to I think that's what you mean, right? All-time hockey starting five. Oh, starting five goaltenders. Okay. Oh, you are saying okay. So three forwards all time. That's a really good one. I mean, it's not really fair, but I mean Gretzky's an easy one. Gretzky. This might be a little bit of my bias, but I'm going to go with Mike Bossy. Who can I have as another forward there? You kind of got me on the spot here, but let's see what I can do. Gretzky, Mike Bossy. I'll throw in a grinder. Who's a really good grinder that I could throw on that line? Iginla. Ooh, Gordie Howe. I like that one, Urban. I like Gordie Howe. Or Ray Bork. Okay, so I'll go with Gordie Howe, Gretzky, and Bossy. Defense. Defenseman. I'm going to do one of each. I'm going to go for the defensive defenseman, Bobby Orr. And then the offensive defenseman. For an offensive defenseman. Maybe back in his prime. And this might sound crazy. But if Jacques is in the chat, ooh, Lidstrom. I was thinking Carlson, Morgan. I actually was going to say Erik Karlsson in his prime. But Lidstrom, it's kind of hard not to say Lidstrom. Lidstrom or Karlsson. And Bobby Orr is my defense, number one. And goalie, it's kind of hard not to go with Patrick Waugh, right? Or Marty Brodeur. Marty Brodeur and Patrick Waugh is my goalies. That's what I'll cheat. I'll say backup and starting goalie you could flip. But Brodeur and Patrick Waugh. Welcome to the chat, William. He says, or Bork. Yep. Welcome to the chat, Jeremiah. He says, defensive defenseman for Orr. Lidstrom is definitely my favorite all-around defenseman. Yeah, Lidstrom. I think whenever you talk about like who's the next great defenseman in the draft and things like that, everybody compares him to it's either Bobby Orr or Nicholas Lidstrom. Urban said Brodeur and Fleury. That's a good one too. Fleury in his heyday. That's a good argument there too. PJ's mine would be Gretzky, Crosby, McDavid, McCarr, and Bobby Orr. Yeah, Cale Makar's another really, really good one too. He didn't just make that noise. Oh my God. And the birthday boy in Toronto, a fan up against the glass, got a and he didn't even seem phased. He's like, yeah, I got the puck. I got that. He didn't even like smile or anything. That's pretty funny. Oh my God. That's bad. Oh. I think a good question right now is who is the best defenseman today in the NHL? Because I think for the most part, people are going to say McCarr, right? I mean, I would think Miro Heiskanen in his like, I think he's had a little bit of a down season this year, but Heiskanen's in that conversation. Cal McCarr, I would say Eric Carlson with the way he's played this year. I want to see what you guys think. Petrangelo, yeah, Morgan, and maybe in his prime. I think he's a little bit held back with the current group that they have. Jeremiah, welcome again. He said, I don't know. I still like Hedman, even though he's having a rough year. Yeah, that's a really good point. And Urban, that's another really good point. Is it offensive or defensive minded? And I think that is a fair point because if you look at a pure offensive defenseman, it's a totally different argument than a defensive defenseman, right? And you look at a guy like John Klingberg, who has one of the best offensive stats in the NHL. He's one of the worst, and I think he's the 96th percentile in the NHL for defensive and his defensive side of the game. So, yeah, that is a good point. Urban will take Spurgeon defensively, offensively Carlson. Yeah, I think that's what's so good about Hedman. And looking back, and this is interesting because we're talking about the Leafs tonight. The Islanders back in that draft when they took Tavares, when they took JT, Hedman and Duchesne were the other guys available. What alternate universe would it have been if the Islanders took Duchesne or Hedman? I think that's a very interesting sort of argument looking back. And I kind of wish the Islanders took Hedman, if I got to be honest. Would he have been the same defenseman if he was on the Islanders? Maybe not, but still, the idea of Hedman on the Islanders would have been nice. Jeremiah said, if I were to start a franchise, though, my number one would be McCarr, right? And that's because he's younger than Hedman. I would think that's kind of your reasoning for that. But I think as of today, if I was building a team to win the Stanley Cup playoffs this season, not for next season or the next 10 years, I would take McCarr. But for this season alone, yeah, it's kind of hard not to go with Victor Hedman. Toe said Caps were on Chikrin heavily from start to finish, but after he was dealt to Ottawa, Caps got Sandin instead, and I'm happy it went that way. The Yotes were asking for McMichael and Hendricks Lapierre. Yeah, no reason you should be giving up those many guys. Yeah, I agree. I think that's too much. If you're giving up McMichael, and I just don't think they need to do that, right? I mean, and defensively, who do they really have defensively, right? Alexander Alexiev, Beavari. Yeah, the Leafs are going to score here. I don't. Anderson seems a little bit floppy right now. He's really aggressive out of the crease. And I think the Leafs are going to start reading that and be like, all right, just kind of hold the puck for a second, draw him out of the net, and then just try to get the cross crease, and it'll be an empty net. Oh yeah, Matt Luorio is a stud. Yeah, he's playing in Hershey, right, this year. I think he did play. I think he's the fourth or fifth player in that draft to play in the NHL. Morgan said, "Hey Kev, me and my girlfriend went ice skating today, and I was doing tricks around her to scare her. And then I was going circles around her because I love to skate fast and helped her a little bit. Good for you, Morgan. Good stuff, man." I don't know what you guys are talking about, but who's kissing who on the lips? That's a little bit nah, they're saying kissing other guys on the lips. No, I'm doing a live stream right now. Um so unfortunately I don't get the Montreal game, which is kind of a shame, but Toe said Power, Drysdale, and Sanderson are the other three, I guess. That's mm, I like that. I'd also maybe it's too soon to say this, but depending on how he plays in the NHL here down the stretch and what happens the rest of the season in Michigan, watch out for Luke Hughes, also with the Devils. I think Luke Hughes has the potential to be that next defenseman that everyone starts talking about too. Jeremiah said, PJ, fair enough. I'm straight to I would smooch my car, no doubt. Oh, that's what you're talking about. Okay. You would smooch my car. Okay. Interesting. Oh no, PJ touched the cup. All right. Well, I guess at this point, PJ, I mean, you're going into school for engineering and stuff, but you're probably not. Yeah, you guys probably aren't going to win the Stanley Cup. That's kind of like if you're still playing hockey, trying to make it to the NHL, they always say never touch the Stanley Cup if you want to play in the NHL. But once you get to a certain point, you're probably like, yeah, I'm not playing in the NHL, so I don't have to worry about it. You touch that damn cup then. Rasmus. Oh no. Darlene and Matthews, they're showing that fight they had at that outdoor game. Yeah, that should be pretty good. Yeah, they're talking about how Tavares the other day slashed, I think it was, I want to say it was, I forget his first name. It's not David Desharnais. Desharnais, the defenseman in Edmonton, slashed him really bad on the arm, like on the wrist. Thoughts on Sandine going off in Washington? It is Vincent Desharnais. Thank you, Jeremiah. Yeah, I think he's really. I think he's just a good fit there, and we've seen this a lot. Like Anthony Beauvillier, since he got traded to the Islanders, he had a really good bump that first like dozen or so games, and now he's starting to go back to Beauvillier we saw with the Islanders. So I think it's a little bit of that trying to prove them wrong. He was in the middle of practice in Toronto and then got taken off the ice. Like he had just gotten traded and is coming off the ice. So I think there's a little bit of that aspect too, that maybe he's just very motivated right now. We'll see how long it lasts. But nonetheless, I'm happy for Sandine that he's playing well now. I think to the dismay of Leaf fans, and they were hoping he could do that there, but Toe said, you think the Caps will buy out Mantha in the offseason? How many more years does Mantha have on that contract? Because I think that could end up being a big part of it. Uh-oh, we got a fight in front. Skinner. I don't know who else was in there, but I saw Jeff Skinner in there for the Sabres. Jeremiah said, "I like your accent. Where are you from?" Without without doxing yourself. Also, with how bad some of the D's were playing in Toronto, why wouldn't they try playing him top pairing? Yeah, I know. I think that's kind of the stubbornness of the Leafs, not letting him. There. And yeah, thank you. I'm a New Yorker, man. I'm from Long Island, so I'm from New. If you ask in the past, I've had them pay money for me certain words, and they think it's hysterical when I say specific words, and it is pretty funny. But yes, thank you, Jeremiah, for that. Yeah, so looking at this whole thing with Mantha, the good news is that's bad. He's making 5.7 million for this year, the rest of this year, and next year. So one of those things where it's worth just eating up the money for the next 2 years and then you're done, or is it worth the actual buyout? It depends on, I think, the philosophy for the Capitals. If they want to win the cup next year and they really need that cap space freed up, maybe they'll do it. But if not, it might just be worth, yeah, it ends up being a 2 year buyout and they save they save $4 million the first year. So it's worth it if they want to make the playoffs next year, they want to free up that 4 million, buy him out. But if the Capitals are starting to begin that transition of a retool, then it might be worth just keeping him. And that's actually something to watch for. If the Capitals do buy out Mantha or they don't buy out Mantha, it might say a little bit in terms of what the philosophy for the Capitals will be this summer. I think that's going to be a very interesting development there in Washington. Great question there, Tom. Jeremiah said, nice. I love Long Island. Bagged myself at least a dozen pennies from around there. You got to go to an Islanders game, though, Jeremiah. Yo, we got a super chat from PJ, $7 Canadian. Thank you so much, PJ. Thoughts on Rasmus Anderson, the Flames defenseman? I think he is super underrated and doesn't get the respect he deserves. He is getting better each year. Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to be interesting with the direction of the Flames moving forward, because I could see them, depending on what happens this summer with Brad Tree living, I could see them as a team that maybe starts to rebuild. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Rasmus Anderson, right? Because I would think he's a guy you don't want to move, but he's a really good asset. And yeah, I think you're right. He is definitely underrated. I think again, a lot of that is, I think, from Daryl Sutter, the way his system is really fits Rasmus Anderson's game. So great point there, PJ. And of course, thank you so much for the super chat. You're the best, PJ. Yep, we love to see it, PJ. You're the man. Morgan said, Morgan, hey, another Morgan. Oh, there you go. Morgan Fay. Go Leafs, go. All right. Welcome, Morgan. Now we got Leafs Morgan and we got Toronto Morgan and Leafs Morgan. Oh, man, that's the same team. Never mind. Nevada Morgan and Toronto Morgan. You guys are confusing the crap out of me, but Jeremiah said, how expensive are the beers at the Islander games? That's the crucial part to know. $18 for one beer at UBS Arena. $18. That's all I hear. $18 at UBS Arena. It is ridiculous. Everything is super expensive there, guys. So much for these two offensive juggernauts. This is such a boring game. They haven't scored a goal yet. Kind of like they did last week at the Islander game. They were falling asleep in between the periods. Well, we have a similar score right now in Toronto. Only 13 shots. What a boring game. Nevada Morgan said, good Lord, the cash register is a smooth criminal. That it is. Toe said, I'm not really a feet guy, but I would love another toe here. Yo, that's hysterical. Good stuff, Toe. I said, I'm about to crack open a $1.45 Labatt Blue. Yeah, you have to pregame for Islander games. It is expensive. $10 Canadian for a beer at Flames game. Interesting. Yeah, that's all I hear is. That's all I hear. And I think that's it for the first period. It is 0-0. So I would say for the Sabres, that's a win. I think the Leafs dominated that period. They should be happy that it's 0-0. With that said, though, the Sabres are definitely kind of looking like the team on their heels, and the Leafs are just kind of giving it to them. I think the good news for the Sabres, if you want to look at it, there was no penalties. You don't want to give the Leafs any power plays. Very lethal on the power play. Um, and the only thing I'd be worried about also is Craig Anderson seems a little bit floppy. Yeah, Anderson dominated that period, Urban, but he also did look a little bit like he was he was very aggressive coming out of his crease. I want to see how the Leafs kind of attack that in the first couple minutes of the second period because I think that's going to be something to watch for. So Toronto Morgan, the other Morgan is a Golden Knights fan. He's from Nevada. Shout out to our moderator Morgan. So ended the first period in 2 games up in Canada. The Montreal Canadiens, that cannot be right. Okay. It says 2 shots in the first period. There's no way that's right. 0-0 in Montreal over the Colorado Avalanche Montreal Canadiens, and 0-0 in Toronto with the Buffalo Sabres coming into town. So a scoreless night so far. I guess they're all playing such boring hockey, right? This is so boring. There wasn't a single goal. How dare they not score goals? Whoa, I was completely wrong. So it is 4-1 Avalanche in Montreal. Never mind. There was a ton of goals in that first period up at the Bell Center. And I think what's more concerning for the Habs fans, there was only 8 shots on net by the Avalanche. 4 of them went in. Are we going to see another Buffalo Sabres game from last weekend where Hutchinson, who is it? Eric Comrie gave up 10 goals. I don't know. That's interesting to watch for. But still for the Avalanche, there was only 3 shots by the Habs, and they already have a goal. What's going on with the goaltending here? This is the dead puck era is definitely not an issue in 2023. Jeremiah said, "Oh no. Oh, we have a loss?" Jeremiah said, "I love Calgary. I'm a huge Flames fan. My best friend passed away. Shout out to him. Obviously, he's in our prayers." Great stuff, Jeremiah. Urban said the last 7 games, the Sabres are allowing almost 5 goals per game. Now, I think that's also a little inflated, Urban, because of that 10-goal game, but still, the point stands. They've been giving up a lot of goals for a while now. Javante Patton, welcome to the chat. Javante, our Penguins fan here at Goal Line Hockey. He said, I want the Sabres to win and boot the Isles out of the second wild card. Not sorry. Boo. Nope. Nope. Not good stuff there, Javante. Nope. Disagree with you there. That's why I'm wearing the Leafs jersey. Who would have thought the Islander fan would be wearing a Leafs jersey? Because it's the Sabres. Shout out to Javante. Ew, a Pens fan. Yeah, I know. We keep them at a distance. There's got to be like at least like a 6 foot distance between me and Javante at any given point. But nonetheless, I'm glad he's in the chat. Yeah, it's been a good game so far for the Avalanche. Liam O'Connor, his 8th of the season. Bowen Byram gets on the board. Matt Nieto. And then they also got a goal from Arturi Lehkonen back in Montreal, PPG. And then Josh Anderson scored. So a couple of goals from all over the lineup. Yeah, it's kind of a weird night. There's only 3 games on tonight, which is kind of interesting. There you go, Tug. Byram is on my fantasy. There you go. Good pickup. PJ says Skinner and Cousins are on my fantasy team. Yeah, those are really good pickups. Morgan, I'm doing good. It's been a good day. Went to House. Had a bad experience there last week. No bread with the cinnamon. Disappointing, but we got revenge today. Went back to Texas Roadhouse. We don't have an In-N-Out burger. We're on the East Coast, so unfortunately, I don't have access to that. Never been to In-N-Out burger, but I've heard good things. PJ says, Kev, that Rangers jersey and hat would look so good for you. I'm sure it would, but I mean, $500 and I'll do it. There's a price tag on anything. Don't do it. Welcome to the chat. People First Yukon. He's probably part of, I would assume, a fan of Dylan Cousins, but we'll see if he'll let us know. But welcome in here. People First Yukon. Yeah, Yukon, Canada. Yeah, I think that's where Dylan Cousins is from. What do you guys think of the Flyers? There's been rumors that, again, depends on what you consider a full-on fire sale. Danny Briere is kind of playing chess and checkers here, but it sounds like the Flyers are open to basically anybody being available in a trade. I don't know if it means Sean Couturier or Travis Konechny. I would assume at this point Farabee, Morgan Frost, Cutter Gauthier, Noah Cates, those guys are safe. Cam York. But I would assume that Carter Hart's name will enter the conversation this summer. And if that happens, what Canadian teams do you think will pay the ultimate price for Carter Hart this summer? Because I think that's going to be a very interesting development in Philadelphia. And if you guys can get the likes up, we're going to try and get to 20 likes tonight. Canadians should be all over Carter Hart. I think that's a really good point. And the Flames should go after Konechny. I think he fits really well if they keep Daryl Sutter this summer. I think Konechny's a great fit in Calgary. Jeremiah said he thinks Carter Hart's value is low, could get him for cheap. I don't think they're going to trade him for cheap, though. I don't think Danny Briere would do it then. I think the perception around Carter Hart still in Philadelphia is he is their franchise goaltender. So if they're going to trade him, I don't think they're going to sell him for anything less than what you consider his value to the dollar being the best. Konechny to the Caps is a really good one, Tao. Of course, you're a Capitals fan saying that, but I think the point still stands. The only problem is I don't know if the Flyers would want to trade Konechny or Couturier in the Eastern Conference, let alone the Metropolitan Division. I think unless the offer was so good, I don't think the Flyers would trade Carter Hart, and including Carter Hart. I don't think they would trade any of those guys in the Eastern Conference because they are still a little bit younger. So we'll see what happens. That's why I think Calgary would be a good fit for Konechny, but I could see either Pittsburgh or Washington going after Brock Besser this summer. That's going to be interesting. And again, depending on what happens with Anthony Mantha, I think that could be really something to watch here. Welcome to the chat, Ali Dash. lose the Leaf sweater. Not tonight. I gotta give them what they want. And speaking of JVR, I am wearing the James Van Riemsdyk jersey. Urban said, "Let JVR walk. Trade what's his name? That D-man, $5 million, one more year. Get a couple picks, year by year. In 3 years, things open up." So what's interesting for the Flyers too is what like there's so many things you have to figure out, right? So Kevin Hayes is one. What are they going to do with him? Everything I've been hearing is the Blue Jackets are very interested in bringing in Kevin Hayes. So that could be kind of interesting. So that's one to watch for. That's one guy. What's going to happen with Ryan Ellis? Do they buy that contract out? What do they do there? Kind of a similar thing with Rasmus Ristolainen. Like at this point, I guess you need salary, so maybe you just keep Risto at this point. But what happens with Ristolainen? Then you get to the guys that have some value, right? Like a Konechny or a Couturier. But what's Couturier's value? And now starting to become an issue is Konechny with the injuries. Both of those guys have been getting injured recently. So are they going to get traded based off their true value when they're healthy, or based off of the value that these guys keep getting hurt and we aren't going to give you the value that I think that they want? So I think that's going to be kind of something to watch. Imagine someone offer sheet Zegras. That would break my heart as a Ducks fan, but I think that could be possible. I think the Ducks look good in the future, though. I've liked the coaching staff there with Dallas Aikens, but I think the message has grown stale there. They need a new structure there. I think the Ducks are going to go in a different direction. I like Dallas Aikens there for as long as he's been there, but now they've got a new GM, and now he's going to want his guy in there. So I think it's going to be an interesting summer for the Ducks. They've got, Mason, Mason McTavish. He looks really good. I'm really excited for what he could do. He might even be the number one center in Anaheim when it's all said and done. But we'll see how things kind of play out there. And even Tony DeAngelo, do they trade Tony D? He's he's a UFA next summer. So do the Flames try to get some value for him this summer? Like there is so much they can do. What's going to happen with Provorov, right? Like again, he looks like on some nights, is he even a good second pairing defenseman? So what is his value at this point? There is so many things in Philadelphia right now that I think that Danny Briere has to really evaluate what is the value of these players we're talking about. And I think he's going to do that for the next 2 months, or not even really, like the last 2 months of the season. I think that's what he's going to be focusing on throughout the spring. And he might try and see what he can get for them during the summer and start to shop those guys around, see if he can pick up some more draft picks and kind of get this thing going with the rebuild. But again, I think some of that's going to be decided once Danny Briere officially becomes the GM of the Flyers, because at this point, he is still an interim GM. So it's kind of that fine line where he's been saying all the things that kind of make him seem like he'll be the next GM, but his limited experience with the Flyers, he's only been a scout in the past year. So it kind of makes you wonder, that is bad. I can't even think. He's got to go. He's sleeping, honey. He doesn't even know. What was my point? Dog farts are really there. It's disgusting. So anyway, I think for the Flyers, once they like I said, once they evaluate the value of those guys, it's going to be a lot easier to figure out what happens. And like I said, Danny Briere has to be the guy, and they haven't made that official at this point. So it's kind of hard for me to evaluate what's going to happen. Is Paul Holmgren, Bill Barber, Bob Clark going to still be there next year? Again, those are all things that if they get rid of that senior advisor group, who's the next, the president of hockey operations? Like, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Kev, put the Flames goal horn on the PJ soundboard. Okay, there's a couple things I want to do with the goal horns, but I got to see if I could even get them on there. But as of right now, I'll give you this. Just for now. Urban brings up a great point. He said, "Whatever they can trade without retaining salary, trade it. Except heartfulness, they get a haul." Yeah, yeah. I think the Carter Hart thing will be very interesting. Again, it's the perception of these players around the league that's going to kind of determine their value, right? And that's kind of what happened with Chikrin, right? Like they were kind of trying to flail that value that Chikrin is so worth all these assets and stuff like that, and he ended up it was the emperor with no clothes, right? So I think that it's going to be interesting to see what Danny Briere does with his asset management here. Yeah, money talks. Kevin was trying to tell you something with that cha-ching sound. Which one? This one? That sound? Yeah. Shout out to Ali Dash. If you guys want, I know, giving money to the channel and stuff like that, and I get it. We also have a Streamlabs shop down in the description at the end of this video. Make sure to check that out. I don't really promote that very much, but I have merchandise available in the store. So if you guys are interested in buying some merchandise, I have hats. In the springtime, I'll start putting out t-shirts, tank tops, all that kind of stuff. Uh, those links are down in the description down below. So check those out if you want to support the channel as well. In the meantime, though, we're kind of waiting for the second period to begin here in Toronto. And I'm kind of annoyed that I can't watch the Avalanche Canadiens game because it seems like a pretty entertaining game compared to our game tonight. I think we picked the wrong game. Toe said, "Do you ship to Finland?" I have no idea if Streamlabs shipped to Finland. You might have to try that out. PJ said, "Should the Flyers fire Sutter or no?" I don't think they should. I think it's similar to the Flyers with Tortorella. I think that's somebody that if the fan base likes Daryl Sutter, keep him. Like it seems like he's doing more good than harm to the team. I would stick with it right now. Now, again, if the team starts getting very young and the perception is he's not connecting with the younger players, then that's maybe where you consider letting Daryl Sutter go. So the fan base does hate him. Yeah. So he might be going with Tree this summer then. Yeah, PJ said he hates young players. Yeah, so if that's the case, I do think he'll get fired then. And the second period is about to be underway in Toronto. A pretty quiet first period, to say the least. Only 13 shots combined, 3 for the Sabres, 10 for. Oh, it's actually more than that. 3 shots for the Sabres, 12 for the Leafs. That's 15 shots in the first period. People first, UConn. Montreal has 1 to Colorado has 4. Yeah, it's been a weird game there in Montreal. Only 12 shots on net and 5 goals. Like the lack of goaltending kind of concerning there. Oh no. Net came off. We will do it. I have to find my skates.
It's been over 2 years. You're still looking.
Oh, Allie Dash, you're getting yourself into trouble. You are getting yourself into trouble. He just invites Matt Barzell having an underwhelming season. So I think the problem, PJ, is he, for the most part, hasn't had enough talent around him. Barzell's been playing by himself, basically. He's been playing with Hudson Fashing and William Dufour and guys that aren't good enough. And like I said, yeah, he played a lot better when Horvat came in. And like Urban said, he's hurt right now. Toe said, should the Panthers fire Bill Zito? Honestly, I think he's been a weird fit there. I don't think that was a great decision by the Panthers. And move to Quebec. Oh, you're really playing. Ali Desh, you are playing with fire right now with some of this stuff you've been saying between the Panthers and man. PJ said, who should the Islanders surround Barzell with? Leafs goal. There you go. Matthews puts it in. So it's 1-0 Toronto. And Anderson, he's been giving up a lot of rebounds. I mean, the defense hasn't been great, but he didn't really, he looks a little bit, you can't really blame him for that goal. Yeah, never mind. The defense has to get the second guy coming in. Great play by Matthews, though. Kind of just trailing in, tips it right in. That's a goal scorer's goal. That's not always pretty, but they go in, right? That's a nice goal there by Matthews. Toe said the NHL should expand to Finland. The travel cost is going to make that very difficult, Toe, but I would love to see it at some point. Oh no, Super Sucker 34 gets on the score sheet. Shout out to Ali Desh. That's a pretty good one. I'll give it to you. That's a good one. I don't know what Toad just said in the chat, but I assume it to do with Matthews. I have no idea what he's saying there. Speaking a different language, who knows? Yeah, Darlene messed up. Yeah. He's looking at the iPad right now. He knows he messed up. Yeah, the Leafs are just not. I mean, the Sabres are just not. This is kind of the continuation of the first period. And it just seems like right now, the Sabres just look flat. And this is frustrating because I know the Sabres fans want to see them get back to the playoffs. It's 1-0 in Toronto right now. Like they're just defensively sound. The Leafs, like the puck goes in front of the net, it goes in the house, and it just comes right out. Like they're much more structured than the Leafs teams we've seen in the past. And I think a lot of that is some of the guys they've added, right? Adding a Jake Muzzin, adding some of those other defensemen over the last couple of years is really paying dividends for them. Did you fart again? It's so bad. And Toronto is really strong in the neutral zone. That's another thing I'm kind of noticing too. And maybe again it's the Sabres, but Kevin letting the dog take heat for his sins. Yeah, Ali Dash, the puppy is asleep. He doesn't even know what's going on, but he is really bad. Like it's his stomach is really bothering him. It's terrible. And I can't even get him on the live stream for you guys because he's too short. And if I start trying to grab him, he starts thinking I'm playing with him and he starts getting really loud. He's a Mountaineer mix. Oposo with a good chance there for the Sabres, but again, it's been Leafs. The Leafs have really limited the Sabres' opportunities. They've kept them to the outside. And they're just kind of bullying them. Good pass. Uh-oh. We might be seeing another Leaf goal. There it is. Yep. So Kyle Yarncrook makes it 2-0 Leafs. Yeah, Buffalo, they're done, man. Update. Thank you, people first from Yukon. Colorado is now winning 5-1 over the Montreal Canadiens. Ouch. They have more goals than the Habs have shots. And that's from Mikko Rantanen, his 43rd of the season. Wow. Welcome to the chat, Slinksy. Is Matthews' injury holding him back this year? I'm not sure. I think I think to an extent, but I think probably more than anything for Matthews, it might be more just mentally. I think it's mentally more than anything. But it is a good point to bring up. Yeah, Toe says no, he's just a fraud. That's just the a lot of the people in our chat are Flames fans, Oilers fans, um, Senators fans, Capitals fans. None of them like the Leafs, Slinksy. So that's kind of why none of these guys really like him too much. But listen, I guess if it's a sign of flattery if people don't like you, right? That means you're good. So I don't know. That's how I look at it. But only people that are worthy of being hated on are hated on, right? You got to be good enough. That's why everybody hates Marchand other than Bruins fans, is because he's a pain in the neck. Urban says Matthews is terrible. Kirill Kaprizov is better than Austin Matthews. With the way he's been playing recently, you have an argument. You definitely have an argument there. I will say that, Urban. That is, I'm not going to discount that. It's kind of impossible to with the way he's been playing. People first UConn. I am a Canucks fan. It's okay, people feel better because we will talk about anything other than the Canucks for you. PJ brings up a good point. He said, if the Flames make the playoffs, could they do damage and go further than what people expect? I think it's similar with the Islanders. If they make the playoffs, I think the Flames are difficult and they're a difficult out, but they need to get into the playoffs, kind of like the Islanders. If they get in, they're a tough team to play against. They just have to make the playoffs, and that's kind of the bigger issue. That's kind of the bigger issue. Slinksy said Nylander is not getting enough credit. Yeah, that's a really good point too. I think Nylander is, again, I think it's kind of one of those things where they have so many players there that he almost gets kind of put under the radar, which I think is actually a good thing, right? When you have that many good, talented players, it takes some of the pressure off of Nylander now. So we'll see how it plays out. Morgan says the only good thing about the Leafs is the goal song. It is pretty good. Yeah, they have a good goal song. That is true. So the Sabres are going on the power play. This is huge for them. If they want to get back in this hockey game, they need a goal. So we have another score update out in Montreal. JT Compher's 14th of the season. We aren't even halfway through the second period. It is already 6-1 Colorado Avalanche. They have 16 shots on net. Montreal has 5. The Avalanche have more goals than the Habs have shots this game. Tough look for the Habs at home. They are getting embarrassed at the Bell Center tonight. Ouch. That's a tough pill to swallow for the Habs fans tonight. 6-1 is our scoring update out in Montreal. Oh no, what are you guys doing in the chat? Ali Dash says the only good thing about the Leafs is if you like golf, you're guaranteed to be on the course before April is over. Wow. Ali Dash is throwing flame. He's a flamethrower tonight. Ali Dash is coming in hot today. What are you guys doing in here? Yeah, I think for the most part, Ali Dash, everybody hates the Leafs, but I don't know. So it's 2-0 right now. Yeah, the Sabres don't look like they're on a power play. It's just not really. Yeah, Buffalo on a power play looks like they're on a penalty kill. This is kind of tough. And in the last 3 games, the Sabres are 0 for 6 on the power play. So this has been a issue for a while for the Sabres. That was a good save. Matt Murray with a good save. All right. All right. Maybe a little bit of a momentum shift here going into the halfway point of the game. There's somebody with blue hair. I think it's a what do they call those? Like a wig? Yeah, it's a wig. I think it's a blue wig. He's got a blue wig and blue glasses on. Leafs fan. Those Leaf fans. Listen, I know you guys don't like the Leaf fans. They are weird for the most part. Very passionate, but weird. Then there's the guy that paints his head, right? I think they call him like the arch guy or something. He paints half his head blue, half of it white. Like I said, guys, if you can, get those likes up. We're up to 13 likes already. Thank you so much, as always. Slinky says the Leafs are the Cowboys of hockey. That's kind of why they're hated. That's a huge part of it. Yeah, the Sabres have started to push back a little bit. They didn't score on the power play, but it seems like they're kind of taking some momentum from the power play. Well, it's a good play. Yeah, Buffalo needs a goal here. They're kind of buzzing a little bit. See, the thing is, it seems like the Sabres are getting some momentum and they're in the O zone, but for the most part, the Leafs have kept them to the outside. So they're getting some shots off now, but they're not really high scoring opportunities, which I think is critical. And that's again something we always talk about with the Leafs. Pretty good. And Until was talking about Henrik Borgstrom. I do know he's playing for the Hershey Bears this year. Yeah, he played a couple of games earlier in the season. I think it's a shame though, Toe. The Ovechkin era, right? He's always going to be compared against Crosby, and the fact Crosby got 3 cups, it's something that's always going to hang over Ovi. I think it's good he got his cup, but it's kind of a shame they were only able to get 1 cup with Ovechkin, at least to this point. We'll see how things continue to play out, but I would say that was their window, right? You know? Welcome to the chat, Mike Pelk. Thank you for joining us. He said it'll help Ovi's legacy once he owns the scoring title. Yeah, I think that's a really big. I think that is definitely Ovi's, um, I guess, baby at this point, right? For his legacy is he knows he's probably not going to win another 2 cups, and I don't see him getting anywhere else close in terms of another team other than Washington. So if that's the case, I think the scoring title thing definitely would mean a lot to him. Absolutely. And they're showing the Leaf fans. These people are weird. Oh, this is the Sabres broadcast. Oh. Most goals this season from the 2016 NHL draft. Tage Thompson has 42 goals. Matthews has only 31. Interesting little stat there about Tage Thompson this year. He's going to hit 50. What a turnaround for Tage Thompson, right? He was a guy that everybody said was just a little extra piece in that O'Reilly trade that we talked about earlier, and it seems to be doing a lot better for the Sabres today. 42 goals. Man, that's awesome. Shout out to Tage Thompson. Greenway and who was that? Giordano? Yeah. Giordano got beat. There's no other way to put it. That's a power play. That's a penalty. Mike Pelk, welcome. He's a Sabres fan and a Bills fan. Oh man, we can't be friends. I'm a Jets fan. Shout out to Mike Pelk. Leafs first sends in a playoff series. Who wins? I'm going with the Senators. I think the Leafs are going to score shorthanded here. Yeah, the last like 10 minutes, it's definitely shifted since that second Leafs goal. Since that second goal, the Leafs have definitely lost some momentum, and the Sabres have kind of been throttling. I think they realize like this is desperation mode, and if the Leafs score a third goal here and make it 3-0, it's probably over. So the Sabres are giving a push here halfway through the game. This is getting interesting. Let's see if they could get a goal here because Tage Thompson had a really good chance, but he missed the net. I wonder if they're going to fire him up here. Uh-oh. That was a good chance. All right. All right. Mike said, yeah, I like their progress this year stinks. Thought we'd catch the Isles with all those games in hand. Then we let the Stars score 10. Yeah, I think that was a brutal loss, Mike. And not to mention, everybody talks about the games in hand. It only matters if you win those games. And if your team, Sabres are a perfect example. If you lose those games in hand and you play like a lot of 3 games in 4 nights, that can really take all the wind out of your sails, and you're playing so much and you get tired. The Sabres have been in a rough stretch when they've had to play a ton of games back to back and 3 and 4s. It kills you. And I think that's kind of where those games in hand down the stretch aren't always a benefit, right? It seems perceptually that it can be, but it doesn't always work that way. Quinn's got to shoot that. Goal. So the Sabres, there you go. Jack Quinn got the goal. All right. So it's 2-1. So Buffalo kind of taking over here in the second half of the second period, and still a 2-1 hockey game. Yeah, you could sense once, like I said, once the Leafs got that second goal, it's been 2 power plays for Buffalo. They finally cash in a goal, and it seems like the Leafs defense is breaking down just a little bit here late in the second period. I was close to being a high stick, but I think it's a good goal. Yeah, it's a good goal. That's under the bar. Big goal for Buffalo here late in the second. Gives them hope going into the third. They just can't give up a goal here in the last 5 minutes. Thank you, PJ. Drop a like in the stream, guys. Thank you so much. We're trying to get to 20 likes tonight. I appreciate the support. And another update in Colorado. The score remains 6-1 in Montreal. The Avalanche are throttling the Montreal Canadiens. And it seems like they've given a little bit of mercy here in the second half of the second period, as they haven't scored since I think it was like a couple minutes into the second period. So, yeah, not a really good game so far for the Habs, who've shown a lot of life through the first half of this season and kind of going into the deadline. But yeah, that's it for Jake Allen. Jake Allen was replaced 24 minutes into the game, and Samuel Montembeault has been perfect since, 5 for 5 in terms of shots. Thank you, Toe. Liking with 2 accounts. Do whatever you guys have to do. Like the video and subscribe. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do that as well. Yeah, this is right back into it. Yeah, this is going to be a really good finish, I think. And I expect more goals coming here, but huh? What did you say? Hold on. What's an accent cover? You gotta tell me. I don't know what that is. Welcome to the chat, Ricky Kane, Sharks fan. Oh God, that is pretty cool. How much? $120. Do you have them install it, or do you put it on yourself? That's cool. Yeah. Thoughts on my 32 team NHL? For me, I thought most of my picks made sense. I'm not really sure, Rick. I'm not sure what your 32 teams are. We have the Vegas Golden Knights fan, Morgan, and Rick, the Sharks fan. Pretty interesting. Yeah, so that goal was Jack Quinn from JJ Paterka and Owen Power. So there you go. PJ said we need an Oilers fan here. Yes, we do. We do, PJ. See you later, Ali Dash. Thank you for joining us. At some point later this week, I'll be doing another live stream, guys. So stay tuned. Goal_hockey on Twitter is really where you're going to find it first. But if you're willing to wait a little bit longer, subscribe to the channel. I put it in the community tab. I usually let you guys know earlier in the day if we'll do a live stream or not. But let me know what's on your guys' minds. Wow. So at this point, the Sabres are actually out shooting the Leafs. I think the fans in Toronto are a little nervous. They're like, oh, we have lost all the momentum. Yeah, they need a goal here. If I'm a Leafs fan, I'd be a lot more comfortable right now if they could just cash one in before the end of the period. Because the Sabres have kind of turned this game on its head, which I'm kind of shocked. They're a lot better than I was expecting them to play here in the second. Rick said the risks I took were Phoenix, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston, Nashville, and Tampa. Interesting. Did you put Quebec in there? Toe said, who are you cheering tomorrow on? Caps versus Rangers. You know what? So here's the problem, Toe, and I know why you're saying this. I'm cheering for the Rangers, but any game that I cheer for the Rangers, they lose. So when they were supposed to beat the Red Wings and the Sabres the past couple of weeks and didn't or couldn't beat them in regular, so I would expect the Capitals win tomorrow because the Rangers are supposed to help out the Islanders, but they don't. So yeah, Toe, it probably looks pretty good for you right now for the Capitals to win tomorrow. Yes, I love Madison Square Garden. It is so beautiful there, and the Rangers always lose whenever we go there. So, and the Islanders are undefeated when I've gone to Islander Ranger games, which is very nice too. PJ said do Calgary versus Vegas on Thursday. Maybe. Like I said, I'll let you guys know. I have to go through the schedule this week and what games, what nights I can do and what games I'll be able to do, but I will let you guys know. I already kind of have next Sunday penciled in at 1 o'clock Eastern at next Sunday, Colorado and Montreal. Oh, no. No. Detroit and Colorado. Yeah, it's Detroit and Colorado in Detroit, I think. Next Sunday at 1 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, what are you doing? 2 streams every day. I'm working on it. I'm doing the best I can here, but we'll see what happens. This might be a good week for live streams, so stay tuned, guys. I think it's going to be a good week for live streaming pretty much as often as I can, which may or may not be every day. Again, I don't want to give false promises, but I will let you guys know. Yeah, shout out to Rick. He's a Sharks fan that doesn't mind the Golden Knights. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. I think what's interesting with this game is kind of the power in the Atlantic Division, right? Like right now, you would say this is the Leafs window, and the Sabres are kind of the up and coming team, right? They're the come up. So it's kind of interesting to see how the gap is closing. If nothing else, the gap is closing between the Sabres and the Leafs. PJ said, Kevs, are the Flames better equipped to beat the Oilers in a playoff series? I think the X factor in that series is Jacob Markstrom. If Jacob Markstrom can beat Jacob Markstrom and the way he's been playing the last week and a half, 2 weeks, I would go with the Flames in that series. Just you have to shut down Draisaitl and McDavid, and if they can do that, I think so. But Jacob Markstrom, that's all I would say in that series. Yeah, it's rather quiet. It's eerily quiet right now in Toronto, and I think they are. I think the fans see the shift in momentum here throughout the period. It kind of started with the 2 penalties, and now a goal, and now it's like, uh-oh, now it's 2-1. We've lost some momentum. That was I don't know who was the defenseman. Who's 22 on Toronto? That was a terrible play. PJ would play Vladar in that series. Interesting. Oh man, Thompson almost tied it. Close call there. What? We're up to 19? Guys, get the likes up. We're up to what? We're up to 19? Guys, get the likes up. We're up to 19 likes. We're trying to get to 20 likes tonight. We're getting should have got that, honestly. He was right in between the dots. That probably should have been a goal there. I think everybody wants Knights versus Kings because Jonathan Quick, he is going to be a problem in that series. I can tell you, and I think everybody but Kings fans are dying for that series. That would be incredible. That is the comeback story. Kev, you're lagging. Ah, no. We'll give it a couple more minutes here, guys. But we'll see what happens here. Hopefully it gets a little bit better. Is it lagging a little bit? Leave a 1 in the chat if it's lagging a little bit, guys. Let me know. Or if it's good. You refreshed it? It's good now? Okay. Yeah, it's saying my connection is unstable. Yeah, Morgan, try refreshing it if you can. Welcome to the chat, Shazam. Thank you so much for joining us. He says, Big Kev, go Leafs, go. I hate myself for saying that. You and me both, Shazam. Shout out to that. Yes, because we want the Sabres to lose. We want the Islanders to get one of those wild card spots. Yeah, guys, if it's a little bit laggy, try refreshing it because the stream is a little bit weird right now. So thank you, Urban, for letting me know. Yeah, try refreshing it if it's a little bit glitchy. So Morgan wants Vegas versus Seattle or Vegas versus Edmonton. I'd be down for Vegas versus Seattle. I think that would be a good series too. Normally, I wouldn't be the guy wearing the Leafs jersey rooting for the Leafs, but in this circumstance, yes. Yeah, these are the gut check games, I think, for the Leafs because you're playing a Sabres team that's kind of playing for their life. So this is as much as it's kind of a big desperation game for the Sabres, it's a gut check game with a 2-0 lead. Can the Leafs hold that lead? Because the narrative, if they blow this lead, it's going to be that they didn't show enough energy through the end of the second and into the third, took a couple of bad penalties, and they lost the momentum. So this is going to be an interesting third period because this might be an interesting third period here. We'll see how things go. Meanwhile, we're finishing up the second period in Montreal. The Canadiens are on the power play, but it is still 6-1 Colorado. Yeah. Talk about gut check time for the Habs at home. They are getting throttled at home. Yeah, Morgan said we need a healthy Stone, Thompson, Hill, Carrier, and Waugh. Yeah, they need a lot of guys to get healthy. It's been a rough little stretch here for Vegas. The last couple years, they've gotten hurt a lot. And in our featured game tonight, it is 2-1 Toronto, but the lead is deceptive because I have to say, in the second, really after that second goal by the Leafs in the second period, it's been all Buffalo since then. They're actually leading in shots. They got like 14 shots in the final 12 minutes of that period and a goal. Two power plays, definitely taking some of the momentum back. Shazam says, I'd get my Tavares jersey on, but I Darth Vader bonfired that bad boy. Shout out to Shazam. That's funny. That's a good one. Mike Pelk said, gut check period for the Sabres. It would have been terrible at home. Yeah, Mike Pelk. And they said, it's one thing to lay a stinker on the road. It's another thing to stink really bad at home. And that was a really tough game for the Sabres. Yes. And Montreal scored a power play goal late there in the second period. We have an update in Montreal. It's been all Colorado, but considering the Habs have 2 goals, a 9 goal to give the Habs some glimmer of hope going into the third period, but it is 6-2 Colorado. And like I said, for the most part, it's been all Avalanche. 2 goals in Arturi Lehkonen returning to Montreal. He was a Montreal Canadian for a couple of years. Got traded at the deadline, I think last year or 2 years ago. And for the most part, it's been all Habs, but still a little bit of hope there. PJ says, Kev, what do you think of the Flames pedestal jersey? I'm not sure what that is, PJ. I might have to look that up. And like I said, guys, get the likes up. We're up to 19 likes. Let's try to get it up to 20. It is 20. It's showing 19 on here. Yeah, I'm not sure what the Calgary Flames pedestal jersey is. I like me my jerseys, but I'm not really sure what that is. Pedestal jersey. Oh, I see what you're saying with the weird lines. Yeah, I don't really like that. I don't like the weird lines on that jersey. It doesn't look right. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that jersey, PJ. Rick likes everybody. He likes the Knights, the Kings, the Sharks. I assume Rick doesn't like the Ducks, though. Oh, Alex Tuck is back tonight. Okay. Mike Pelk said, Kev, if the Isles / when the Isles make the playoffs, you going to a home game. My dad has season tickets, so I expect to be there. I work at night though, so it depends on if I'm working that playoff night. So that could really, I'm hoping to go at least to one of those 2 home dates at the very least, but we'll see how things go. But again, they got to get in first. I can't get it too ahead of myself, really. I'm not going to do that to myself. Shazam, he said tomorrow night we find out if the game against the Caps was just an off night for the Isles or a sign of regression. I'm thinking the former. However, the Kings are no joke. They'll have to be ready. Yeah, that's a really good point, Shazam. And unfortunately, I had the pleasure of going to that Capitals game. That was rough. We were six rows behind the net, behind the glass. Um, on the Islanders side, we saw a ton of Capitals goals on that side. It did not feel great. I got to be honest, Shazam. It was tough. But yeah, that's a really good point. This whole West Coast road trip, if they've got to find a way to pick up 4 points out of 6 on this trip because the Ducks don't look good, the Sharks don't look good. You got to find a way to pick up points any way you can. And especially against teams that are non playoff teams, I would accept them losing that Kings game, but they've got to win those other 2 games then. They've got to win 2 of 3 here. Toe said you saw the Mantha scoring his first of the year. Yeah, Toe, I saw it 10 feet in front of me. Yes, I did. And it was such an ugly Anthony Mantha goal. The puck was just sitting there, and then Mantha's like, oh, the puck's there. The puck's been sitting there for a minute. He's like, is anybody going to go for it? All right. And he just roofed it over Varlamov's pad. Yes, I did see that goal. Yeah, I know Toe loves that, but yeah, not so much for me. Shazam said my buddy was there as well. Brutal game. He had a few Heine tall boys to take the edge off. I did not. I haven't been drinking. My girl had a Labatt Blue, but I did not drink. I'm trying to stay away from the alcohol. But yeah, the people out there, I don't blame you for drinking. That was a game worthy of drinking at least 5 beers, even though it was $18 a beer. Mike Pelk said, been to the Caps Arena. That is an underrated arena. I haven't been there since it's been Capital One Arena. I went when it was the Verizon Center. Kyle Poso and John Tavares were on that team back in the day, and I think JT got the game winner. We were right behind the glass there in Washington. Met Slapshot, the Capitals mascot, but it is a very nice rink, a very big arena as well. And it's right in the middle of town. They've got their Washington, D.C., like metro train station right under it. It's very well built down there, I have to say. Toe said, what did I give your beer money for? Probably another Labatt Blue at some point. PJ said, Urban Infatuary cost was the reason the Flames' new arena project got delayed, sadly. Yeah, the inflation. Yeah, the inflation cost. Yeah. Yeah, it's really a shame, PJ. This whole thing with the Flames, if the Flames don't get a new arena, and I don't think they're going to get moved. I'd be. See, the problem is, though, PJ, the more they keep talking about Atlanta, I think if Atlanta gets another team, that could be a relocation. And I know you don't want to hear that, but if that happened, the Flames could be that team. And I would hate to see that, but oh my God. I think Canada would blow up if they saw another Canadian team go to the States, specifically a Southeastern team like Atlanta. I think they would blow a gasket, but we'll see what happens there. Atlanta Flames comeback. Don't tell PJ that. He is not going to be happy with that, but it could happen. Mike Pelk said, yeah, it was still Verizon when I went. Very accessible to the city. Great to sightsee. Yeah, it is really nice down there, especially if you go in the spring when they've got the cherry blossoms, all the monuments and stuff like that. Oh, my God. Well, at least you found it. Ridiculous. That's how it works, though. I'll take all that. All right, PJ. All right. Relax. Yeah, see now, Morgan. All right, yeah, you guys, relax. I know PJ doesn't like this conversation, but honestly, at the end of the day, I don't really think it matters. I think the Flames are gonna stay. There's too many hardcore fans there in Calgary, but it is a weird coincidence that Calgary arena plan fell through, and then 6 months later they start talking about Atlanta coming back. So I really don't think it's gonna happen, but if you consider it, there is something there. I'm just saying that. I'll leave it at that and only that. Yeah, Mike Pelk. Yeah, that, Shazam said, "Is Pajot traveling with the team?" I think so, but he didn't skate this morning. If nothing else, I'm not entirely positive. I'm not entirely sure. He traveled. I think he did because they were mentioning this morning they were really checking practice to see if he was on the ice, but he was not on the ice for practice today. So I think he went on the trip. I'm not 100%, but I know that he did not practice earlier today. So we'll see what happens with Pajot. Hopefully he comes back soon, but I kind of wonder what's going to happen with the lineup though, because you've got Hudson Fashing now along Sezika, so now Clutterbuck is kind of a filler, and now Pajot comes back. Then what do you do? It's going to be kind of weird to see what happens there. Shaking your head. Yeah, you're ridiculous. That's it. Wendigo, welcome to the chat. Why do pro hockey teams get a point for losing in overtime? Because it's the NHL. I think that that is something they should get rid of at some point. I think the worst thing they got rid of ties. That I'm happy with. There should never be ties in sports. Like I think that is ludicrous. I'd rather lose and have a chance at winning than tie. Like I think that is dumb. That's like that is the total definition of like participation trophy. Kind of the same argument for overtime. And I don't like how they go to a shootout. I think shootouts are terrible too. I think any game that's decided in a shootout, I mean, especially as an Islander fan, I hate shootouts. The Islanders haven't won a shootout in over a year now. And I'm not kidding when I say that. Like it's been over a year, and I think they've on a times actually scored in a shootout. Yeah, 3-on-3. Shazam is right. 3-on-3 until there's a winner. Yeah, I think the overtime thing is ridiculous. Like the fact that we still have shootouts today, I get why they want the game to end at some point, but I would rather see 2-on-2, right? So 10 minutes of 3-on-3 and then 5 minutes of 2-on-2. I don't know. There has to be a better way. There has to be, right? Or maybe you get rid of offsides or something like that, right? Like there's got to be something to keep the flow going. Or there's no whistles, there's no stopping play, no stop a play at overtime, right? Just let the play go. There's no blowing the play dead and face-offs and stuff like that. That could maybe be something. I don't know. I don't know. Things to think about, but I think the NHL right now is putting more focus on the schedule. We might be hearing very shortly that the exhibition schedule is going to get shortened. I think it's currently 7 games. It might go down to 4, which I think would be a benefit for some of the older guys in the league that don't want to do that. I remember I listened to Spit and Chicklets last year, and Pat Maroon was talking about how the preseason schedule is way too long, especially for Tampa, because they have such a short layoff from when you win the Stanley Cup. And, Tampa's been the last couple of years. They haven't necessarily had much of an off season recently. So I think that it's going to help the teams that went on a really deep run the year before, like Tampa and teams like that. Um, and like I said, I think that at some point it's going to transition to more regular season games. So we're going to see maybe 2 or 3 more regular season games, like 84, 85 game regular season schedule instead of what we have now with 2 game schedule. And that could also bring up an interesting point in terms of maybe breaking records for most wins or most points in a season, which we talked about with the overtime points and stuff like that. This could also be a factor in that as well. So we'll see how things play out. But I definitely think that the NHL is focused on that, and they're in the GM meeting right now currently. So depending on what happens this week, we might find out more information on the Pride Night jerseys and the whole debacle with that. They are also reportedly going to be talking about the three-team trades. There was reportedly a three-team trade that GMs were not happy about, where the team didn't necessarily agree to the terms. The trade call was already done by the first team. They went to the second team and said, "No, that's not the trade we made," and then it caused the problem. So, the last time they really made the trade call thing, like the last time they really messed with that was the Eric Lindros trade, which he might have been going to the Rangers and he ended up going to the Nordiques, I think, or the Flyers or something like that. And they made the NHL Central Registry where you have to officially announce where the trade is official, right? And kind of confirming the deal and stuff like that. It was the Eric Lindros trade, Urban. I think it was the Eric Lindros trade. He was potentially going to the Rangers, I think, and they had to have a third party arbiter come involved, and that's kind of where we got the trade calls, right, that we have today. But now we have three-team trades, which is making it a little bit more difficult, and teams backing out of the deal in the second part of the trade and things like that. It's just too complicated. So I wonder if they're going to try and figure that out here as well. And like I said, they're also, I think, looking at the Pride jersey conversation, which I'm sure you guys could get into a little bit in the chat. I'm not going to speak too much about it. You guys are. So the third period is about to be underway in Toronto. I think the Leaf fans are clutching their pearls a little bit because this game is it's kind of been a rough game. The first period was definitely all Leafs. The first 5 minutes were all Leafs, and then the second Leafs goal, it was 2-0. The Sabres have made it 2-1, and all of a sudden, I think there's a little bit of the Leafs kind of going back and forth on the road, kind of sliding a little bit, and we'll see how this third period goes because the Sabres are now leading in shots, which is kind of surprising with how the first couple minutes going into the second period, it was like, I want to say they had 17 shots there in the second period for the Buffalo Sabres. That's a total miss. That's a misassignment by a bunch of players on the defensive side of the game for the Leafs. Got to be better there. And somebody mentioned earlier, this is definitely this is kind of a good test for the Leafs, but this is gut check time for the Buffalo Sabres here. And if Mike Pelk is still in the chat, yeah, gut check time, man. PJ said, let's start a fantasy league for hockey. I would consider doing that in the fall. If you guys are interested in a fantasy hockey league, let me know. I could do that in the fall for next season. I'd be interested in doing that. Yeah. PJ said, where does the ball drop in New York City? Times Square. Nope, not Long Island. Times Square. Oh, Nylander. You got to score on that. Yeah, Jacob Bryson, big mistake there. That could have been deadly. Oh, man. And then Darlene kind of just whiffed on the pass. Yeah, Darlene and Bryson, bad first shift here to start the third period. Not a good start. What Mike Pelk with a great, he says that's how you start the gut check period. Yeah, a bunch of defensive turnovers by your defenseman. Exactly, Mike Pelk. Welcome back, Morgan. Yeah, there's not going to be a ton of games this year where I'm rooting for the Leafs, but tonight is one of those rare exceptions. And whenever I cheer for the Lightning or the Rangers or now the Leafs, they usually lose those games, which I would think is a bad omen here. So let's see how things play out here. I'm sure Mike Pelk, that's music to his ears. The Sabres won a couple of big games against the Lightning earlier this month, and that's really part of the reason they've stayed in this conversation. PJ said, Kevin, you working on any videos regarding the Flames? I'm currently working on one with the Flyers. What's interesting now, the format of the channel has changed. I always used to post one video every day, but now that I'm doing live streams, I'm posting a live stream, and then any day I don't post a live stream, I'm posting a regular video. So I am planning to do a Flames video though, because I think that conversation of that horrible R word could potentially be coming to the Flames, depending on what direction they go with Tree Living and Daryl Sutter. And Tage Thompson scores, and we are tied at 2 in Toronto. Mike Pelk said should have busted out the Buffa Slug jersey instead. I do have the Buffa Slug jersey. If the Sabres score a goal here, I will bring out the Buffa Slug. Yeah, Nylander missed that opportunity earlier, and Tage Thompson makes him pay. Oh, no, that's Alex Tuck. My bad. Alex Tuck with the goal. That's a great goal by Tuck, though. His first game back, and he's been off for 8 games, been injured, and it is you could hear a pin drop in Toronto right now. Uh-oh. I was just saying that you don't want the Islander fans cheering you on. Shazam, myself, here we are cheering on the Leafs, and they're letting us down. Unbelievable. But I'm sure Mike Pelk is very happy right now. Let me know, guys, in the chat. Should I bring out the Buffalo Slug jersey? Let me know down below. If you guys really want it, I'll bring it out for you. Do you even know what that is? The banana slug? The banana slug, Buffalo Slug. Let me know, guys. Wendigo said it looks like Lindenhurst on Long Island also had a ball drop this most recent New Year. Wendigo, where are you? Are you from Long Island, Wendigo? I guess the politically correct way of saying Buffa Slug is the banana slug jersey, right? Is that any better than Buffa Slug? Urban, yo, that is a great point. He said Alex Tuck, another Chuck Fletcher screw up. And what he's mentioning is I think they traded him to the Vegas Golden Knights so they wouldn't take, I believe it was Dumba or Brodin or one of the defensemen in Minnesota at the time. Oh man, yeah, Urban, that's a really good point. He was the GM of the Wild at that point still. Oh, he's from Niagara Falls in Canada. Okay. The Leafs almost scored, but Anderson kept it out. All right. All right, I'll bring out the Buffalo Slug, guys. I don't have it up here. Never mind, guys. I don't have the Buffalo Slug. It's not up here. Nope, no Buffalo Slug, guys. No Buffalo Slug tonight. I think it's downstairs. Yeah. I have the reverse retro from 2020, but I do not have the Buffalo Slug up here. I apologize, guys. I will bring it out. You know what? For the next Saber stream, I will bring it out. Yeah, Morgan, huge save. Yeah. And Urban said Dumba, and we lost Howler as well. Yeah, Eric Howler was really good for the Golden Knights. Yeah. Yeah, that was Chuck Fletcher's kissed goodnight before he left Minnesota. Man, the Leaf fans, oh man. I gotta say though, even though I'm cheering them on, it is kind of funny seeing how like quiet it is there in Toronto. Oh, the pain. They're like, when is this pain ever? I think they're just gonna they've kind of accepted that the pain doesn't end. Urban said I have nothing good for Fletcher. I don't think Flyers fans do either, honestly. I think honestly, some of it is some of the ownership from the Flyers and the senior advisors, Bill Barber, Bob Clark, and Paul Holmgren. But nonetheless, he didn't do himself any favors either. And like I said, with his track record in Minnesota as well, I would be shocked if he got a GM job somewhere else. And the fact that the Flyers even made him a GM was surprising. Maybe he'll be a senior advisor somewhere. He's a good dude. From all the things that nobody really says anything bad about Fletch, but I think as a GM, he just really isn't a good fit. Mike says, "Thank you, Fletch, for taking Rasmus Ristolainen from us and extending him." Yeah, that was a really good favor Fletcher did for you guys, right? You guys got a couple of good draft picks for him and stuff. Smell it yet? Hopefully, I don't have to smell it, but. And Fletcher, if I'm not mistaken, is also the same GM that gave those two massive contracts to Ryan Suter and Zach Parise. And Urban will let me know down below, but I'm almost positive. Oh, man. Craig Anderson is helping them out right now. Close call there. I'm correct? Yeah, Urban, yeah. That the two massive contracts for Suter and Parise were also signed by Chuck Fletcher, and they're still in the process of that buyout for the next couple years. So again, Chuck Fletcher is the gift that keeps on giving for the Minnesota Wild and the Philadelphia Flyers. Well, let's get a scoring update in Montreal. Let's see what's going on there because that was a very interesting game earlier. Urban said, yeah, he signed Parise and Suter. I said, okay. How long? We did what? Well, we're screwed for 13 years. And even longer than that now, Urban, because they bought them out. Yep. That's like the Rick DiPietro thing. We're still dealing with things that the Islanders ownership did from like 2000. They traded Roberto Luongo for Rick DiPietro. They traded Jason Spezza, Zdeno Chara. Who else did the Islanders trade? That was the whole Mike Milbury. They had an owner, John Spano, that was this fraud billionaire tycoon. He was a fake. He was a fraud. The fisherman, fish sticks jersey era. That was all part of the same era for the Islanders. Oh my God. Uh, thank God I was not old enough to deal with that era. That was brutal. Good Lord. I didn't get into the Islanders until the aftermath of all that. Like 2006 was probably my first season really knowing the Islanders. And that was dark days for me as an Islanders fan. I think 2012 was the first time I saw the Islanders in the playoffs my whole life. It took 12 years. DiPietro is retired in 2013 and paid until 2029. Yep, he's paid $1 million every year on July 1st. Yep. So it's still 6-2 in Colorado. I think that they are just letting this game play out and they won the game and move on to the next one. Huge win tonight here for the Habs. I think that's a safe assumption that they are going to win this game. Mike Belk says, I remember the days they talked about moving the Isles to Kansas City of all places. Mike Pelk, you bring up a really good point because I remember that era. And that's why when these guys keep saying, like I know PJ's upset about the whole Flames Arena situation, how they might move to Atlanta or this or that. I don't like any of that because as an Islander fan, I remember those days where there was Nordique fans from Quebec coming down to the Coliseum and filling out a section and saying, we want the team in Quebec. That was brutal. Absolutely brutal. So I feel for any of the fan bases out there that aren't sure if their team's going to stay or not, I have total sympathy for you because I remember those days. Kansas City and Quebec were the favorites to get the New York Islanders back in the day. Yes. Oh my God. Thank God those days are over. But oh my God. I remember that, Mike Pelk. Yep. Morgan, I would say Vegas is safe. I would say they're safe. And I'm actually happy about the Golden Knights. I like their jerseys. I like their team. I got to go see them at some point next season. I think that's my goal. I want to see where my life is at, but I would like to go to Vegas next year and watch a Knights game or two. I'm not really big with the gambling and things like that and the shows, but I would like to visit Vegas. But now we're seeing a bunch of expansion probably because of the Golden Knights' success. So love or hate the Golden Knights, they're the reason we're seeing more expansion in the league than we've seen in the last 2 decades. So okay. Tage Thompson breakaway. Oh my God. Matt Murray with a semi breakaway save on Tage Thompson. Buffalo scores. Oh my God. Dylan Cousins and the Buffalo Sabres, who were down 2-0, are up 3-2 in the third period. I'm speechless. Wow. That's a great goal by Cousins, but I'm speechless, guys. Wow. Sure, Mike Pelk is happy right now. Oh, and Dylan, shout out to PJ. Dylan Cousins is on his fantasy team. Good stuff. Good stuff, PJ. To bring out the reverse retro. Hold on. Oh. Huh? Yeah, this one. What?
Did you do that membership thing?
What?
The button.
Huh? What? This one, my butt?
No.
What?
The sound. Can you put in the mission button?
I don't know what they're saying. What happened?
Put it in the mission button, didn't you?
No, I can't do it.
Oh.
I know. I'm trying to set it up, but it's not. I'm gonna have to do a test stream at some point. All right. Yeah, we're giving the Buffalo Sabres fans their love here. Oh my God, it's 7-2. Seven to 2 update in Montreal as Nathan McKinnon on the power play. And if there were any Habs fans left, I'm sure they've left now. 7-2 Montreal. Wow. So now Buffalo's going to go on the power play here in the final 10 minutes. Yeah, this game, talk about gut check time for the Buffalo Sabres. Not only have they tied the game here in the third, they came back 2-0, and they're winning the game with a power play. I'm sure that sets up pretty well for Mike Pelk right now. I'm sure he's feeling pretty good about the Sabres. We'll see what happens. And in the next couple minutes, we're not going to stay for that game, but the Dallas Stars are taking on the Seattle Kraken tonight. If you guys want to watch some other games tonight, that is it. It's these two games. We got a super chat from PJ, $2.79 Canadian. Kev, is the Blasty jersey a top 5 reverse retro? It's good enough where I have it. So in that regard, yes. Who's on the jersey? So I have a curse, Morgan, where you're going to like this, because if you look at the number and you see the letter should be a giveaway from 2020. It's who you think it is, Morgan. Jackie Moon, it is 3-7 Colorado Avalanche over Montreal. 3-2 Buffalo over the Leafs. But yes, thank you for joining us, Jackie Moon. Our Red Wings fan, he's probably enjoying this either way, because he's probably like, well, I want the Leafs to lose, but I also want the Sabres to lose. So either way, it's kind of a win for Jackie Moon tonight. Yeah, wrong game. If the Sabres pull this out, and the thing is, they have to kill, like, they can't give up a goal here in the next 10 minutes. This is a really impressive win for the Sabres if they're able to pull this out here. Javante Patton, let's go Sabres. Why do you want, you're still running in the wild card too? I guess he wants it to be Sabres and Penguins in the playoffs, but we'll see. He's not happy with the Islanders right now. Yeah, Javante, I changed the jersey. The chat has spoken, Javante, and I followed up on what they wanted me to do. A Jack Eichel 2020 reverse retro. Any jersey that I get, the guy gets traded. The only jersey I think I still have left is Jamie Benn Winter Classic for the Dallas Stars and Cam Fowler of the Ducks. Every other guy I have basically is traded. And Dylan Larkin. And Buffalo scored on the power play. Alex Tuck. It's 4-2 Buffalo. They're going to win this game. Wow. And Buffalo showing life. Holy cow. Wow. Welcome back, Jeremiah. He said, I'm back, guys, and my cousin Nicholas is losing it. Why did he bet on the Habs beating the Avs? Oh, my God. Pray for Nick Gurr, man. But they've scored 2 goals here. It is now 7-4, as the Canadians have now scored 2 goals in the past 5 minutes. And Buffalo is up 4-2 on the Leafs after being down 2-0. Yeah, I think, Jeremiah, you might get your wish here. Please don't get a Moritz Seider jersey. I have considered it, Jackie Moon. If I'm to get another Red Wings jersey, I've been scouting out the regular away white jersey with Mo Seider on the back. But I'm probably going to wait till he gets his 8-year extension with the Red Wings before I do that. So you probably don't have to worry about that. So Morgan's favorite reverse retros are Vegas, Florida, Buffalo, Rangers, and Isles. Yeah, I think a lot of people are kind of, I don't know, I think a lot of people are disappointed with the Rangers because it's not really different from their last one. Yeah, Javante, I probably will do a Penguins Rangers game because they're playing each other 3 times this week. And if it's anything like the first game, that is going to be an incredible 3-game matchup here. So we'll see what happens. But if it, like I said, if it's anything like those two, yeah, stay tuned. I have that game on my radar for sure. Probably the third game. I think they play. Let's see. When's the second game? I think the third game is Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned for that. I think Saturday and Sunday might be booked here. But like I said, it's not set in stone. I'll let you guys know, but kind of keep an eye on that one. Oh no, Saturday, Colorado, Detroit. Yeah, that game's probably bigger though, the Pittsburgh game. Thursday and Saturday? When did they play Saturday? Oh, it's 7 o'clock Saturday? 8 o'clock. Oh, why is it so late? Well, the Islanders play San Jose at 10:30, so I guess I'm going to be up anyway, but yeah, he's being a puppy. Are you a puppy? I'd love to get him on the stream. He looks cute right now, but he ain't gonna. I don't need everyone seeing my whole setup. What if somebody tries to like assassinate me? They know my room and the dimensions and stuff. I don't want that. Morgan said he really likes the Vegas one. Yeah, it's really nice, and it's also the I'm trying to remember what I was saying. Get the dog on the stream. Yeah, I know. I know you guys want him on the stream. Here, come here. We're gonna try it again. Come here. He's laying on the bed though. I don't know if I could get him. Come here. No, he's going to the door. Wrong way. Come here. Do we have any ice? Oh, we're gonna do the marshmallow trick. He farted again. Come here. I gotta get him on the chair though. He's not gonna go on the chair. They can see him a little bit. Come here, buddy. Yeah, he's gonna think I'm playing though, and he's gonna no. I don't want your hand. Come here. There he is. There he is. There you guys go. Yeah, he's a good boy. Yeah, his name is Dustin. Yes, he is a beaut. You are 100%, Mike. Yeah, I've been trying to get him on for a while, but he's kind of difficult usually. He's trying to play and he runs around a lot. He's got a lot of energy and he loves food. Why Dustin? I don't really know. I kind of just came up with it, and I was there with my dad and my brother. They're like, yeah, I like Dustin. We went with Dustin. I can't appreciate it. Two 2-0 for the Leafs. No good. Greg Anderson saves the 2-0. Oh, man. Yeah, the Leaf fans are restless now. That was their shot right there. Oh, my God. Unbelievable save by Craig Anderson. Wow. PJ has an English Mastiff. Yeah, how big did they get? That's a big dog, right? Now he's licking my fingers. So the final 5 minutes, and this game is definitely not what I expected. The Sabres have scored 4 unanswered goals since right before the halfway point of the second period. The Leafs had all the momentum. 2 bad penalties by the Leafs, halfway through the game. They didn't score on any of the power plays, but right after the second power play, Buffalo scored, made it 2-1, and it's been all Buffalo since then, honestly. It's in this talk about gut check time for the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres, they've done this a couple times against Tampa. Now they're doing it on the road against the Leafs. Really good stuff. Really good stuff from Buffalo. I have to say, I'm impressed. I really am. And it's not a one-time thing. It's been happening a lot. Wow. Are you working Wednesday? Of course not. All right. Yeah, I'll do Saturday then because you're working this weekend, right?
Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do it Saturday then. So it's 7-4 still in Montreal. It was 7-2 at one point. So the Habs still have a pulse, but I just think it's too little too late. Empty. What the? Oh, it was the disc. Oh, thank God. I thought he farted. That would have been bad.
Have it covered.
Oh. He's got a blanket over his tush. That should help. And the Leafs' last bit of life. Let's see. Can they get one? Empty net. Good save by Anderson. Alex Tuch, the Buffalo boy. He might be the captain too. There's a couple guys that could be that next captain there in Buffalo. Alex Tuch, Dylan Cousins. It could be. I see. I don't know if Rasmus Dahlin would be a captain. I think he could get an A at some point. Maybe not the captain, and probably the same thing for Owen Power. But I think he's going to be Dylan Cousins. You can make an argument for Alex Tuch too, but 5 o'clock East. Probably going to that game, Morgan. I'm probably going to that game Saturday.
Huh?
They play Buffalo. Buffalo again. Buffalo Islanders, yeah.
This one?
Is that this Saturday, though, PJ? I think they're on the West Coast road trip next Saturday.
I think I'm next Saturday.
I should do a stream from the game, maybe.
Too loud.
Depends. Yeah, it's loud, and the other problem is the connection there is terrible. What's my Instagram? Kevin_Forte. Yeah, PJ. Yeah, those dogs don't really get a good rap because people like see a huge dog like that and get intimidated. But the thing is too, like a lot of times those are the dogs that end up being like the best, and if they're well trained, it's kind of a sad thing with that. But this game, I mean, listen, like I'm kind of saying here, but I don't know what else to say. The Buffalo Sabres, man. This is the stuff from the Sabres we haven't seen for years. And the way they get embarrassed at home against the Leafs, the fans take over the stadium there, KeyBank Arena, full of Leaf fans. It's like a home game for the Leafs, and they got blown out a couple weeks ago at home against the Leafs. And now they do this in Toronto just a few weeks after the deadline. Huge statement, if nothing else, for the Sabres. Even if they don't come back and make the playoffs, these are the games that you want to be winning down the stretch when it matters. I think that is more than what Sabres fans can ask for. And I know it's the patience and the longest playoff drought in the league. I get that, but it's gonna pay off for them. I really do. See, now my hat doesn't really match the jersey. I don't like that. Whoa, and the Avalanche score again. So it's 8-4 Colorado. So if there was any hope for the Habs to come back, that's gone. As Chris Weidman scored his first of the season, Michael Matheson scored, and then Val Nichushkin on the power play. So another power play goal for the Avs. 2 goals for Arturi Lehkonen in his return to Montreal. And that game is about as much of a wrap as you can get. Maybe even double wrapped. Maybe even bubble wrapped at this point. Brutal outcome for the Habs at home. Embarrassing. And Toronto pulls the goalie again. We'll see. Still a little over 2 minutes left. They need a goal here quick, though. Oh, Buffalo with a chance. Oh, they're coming out with the puck. Let's see. And Tuch almost gets it with a hat trick. Missed the net. Puts it in front, no good, and the Leafs come back the other way. And Tuck with the puck. Oh, man. I want to see him get it. Jeremiah said it's good for the tank, though. Habs for Bedard. You know how mad people are going to be that the Habs get the first overall pick 2 years in a row? I think that would be hysterical, but they're going to be a nasty team. If they Nick Suzuki and Connor Bedard down the middle, who's your first line center at that point? Honestly, Columbus should get him. No. The Metropolitan Division already has had a bunch of first, second, and third overall picks. The Rangers got Lafreniere and Kakko. The Devils got Heishier and what's his name? Hughes. And the Flyers got Nolan Patrick. No. No more lottery picks to the Metropolitan Division. Please help us out here. No more. We've done enough. We're getting out of, we're in like the twilight hours of the Crosby Ovechkin era in the Metro. Just give the Islanders a breather for like 5 years so we could find our guy. Please. Oh my God. Ryan Jin says Bedard to Columbus would be a tragedy. Yes, it would be. Also, Bedard, Suzuki, top 2 centers would be awesome. Yeah. Who, like I said, who even is your first line center at that point, right? Is it Suzuki or Bedard? I think at some point it would be Bedard long term, but yeah, the cloudy pair, Nolan Patrick, the great Nolan Patrick, right? The typical Broad Street bully, 6'3" kid from Western Canada that can't skate and gets injured all the time, but he's a good Western Canadian boy that's big. He's got a big Flyers bully frame, but he can't skate. But he's that big guy, right? He's 18 years old. He's already 230 pounds, 6'4". He's perfect for the Flyers until he's not. Yes, I see you guys liking that. Ryan Jin, love your videos. Love your energy. Always catching them. Thank you so much, Ryan Jin. Thank you for joining us, and I appreciate that very much. Mike Pelk said, just no. Bedard to Arizona. Anything but the Eastern Conference. I love that idea even more. Get him out of the Eastern Conference. I would love nothing more than that. That's why when McDavid went to the Oilers, I kind of had a sigh of relief. I was like, all right, at least he's out of the Eastern Conference. PJ said, hopefully Vancouver doesn't get him. Can't imagine Calgary facing McDavid and Bedard. Yeah, that would be tough for the Flames. That would be. You go west, you have to play Bedard. You east, you have to play McDavid. That's a trap to me if I'm a Flames fan. You're going to wear it for me? Yeah, I'll wear it. Yeah, the goal line hockey one. And the Leafs score. Yeah, it matches a little bit better. Oh my God, my hair though. It looks good, but it's freaking long. Goal line hockey, baby. Can you put this one away? You look very nice. You look good in that hat. I'm too white. That's my problem. So this game is not over, and a Rasmus Dahlin, Jacob Bryson defensive pairing miscue again. Yeah, look at that flow. That's right. Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you, Ryan. Jeremiah said, "Did you ever play ice hockey? And if so, what level was your best?" High school. I played high school hockey. That was it. I was the typical grinder, tough guy to play against. I was not. I started late. That was my problem. But considering how far I got in the amount of time that I did, I'm definitely proud of how far I came. But ran out of time. That's it. So the Leafs are not going to win this game, but they made it interesting to say the least. And that's it. And the Sabres win in Toronto 4-3, gut check win. That's a big one. That's a big one for the Sabres as they stay in the hunt for a playoff spot. Tuck, first star, 2 goals. Cousins, a goal and assist. He's the second star. And Austin Matthews with a goal and 2 assists is the third star. So a pretty good outing for Alex Tuck in his return to the Buffalo Sabres lineup. He's been out for 8 games, comes back in and scores a huge pair of goals. Mike Pelk said, thanks for switching jerseys, and you didn't jinx us. That could have been really interesting, Mike, couldn't it, right? All right, guys, let me have some of your last couple questions and stuff. Mike Pelk said, glad your live streams are doing well. Yes, they are. They are doing very well. Yeah, the channel's done really good with the live streams, the engagement, stuff like that. It's been really good, guys. Thank you so much. None of this happens without you guys watching, so I really do appreciate that. Of course, subscribing, like, all of that stuff. And, of course, joining the conversation. I really do appreciate that, guys. You guys are the best. So the plan is the next time you guys will probably see me. Are you working Thursday? Friday.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
All right, let's see here. So I want to know your guys' thoughts. There's a couple of 7 o'clock games on Friday, but I'm working. So if you guys are interested in any games on Saturday, Friday, Carolina, Toronto seems like a good game. So I could catch the third period of that game on Friday night. Maybe I could do that. St. Louis, Washington, Buffalo, Philly. It's not really a great night of hockey. And then the 10 o'clock game is Columbus, Anaheim. Maybe I'll do that one. I don't know. We'll see how things go. Yeah, so I'm going to start to figure it out, but I want your guys' input. Saturday, my plan was to do Colorado, Detroit at 1 o'clock. But the more I'm looking at the schedule, I might not end up doing that. Next Sunday, Tampa, New Jersey, that's going to be a good game. Yeah, so I don't know. I'll look through the schedule, but I want your guys' input as well. Mike Pelk said, don't subject yourself to Columbus, Anaheim unless you have to, man. Thank you, Mike Pelk. Dallas versus Flames. One above that. Oh, yo, Jeremiah. No, that is not my sister. That's my girlfriend, Jeremiah. Welcome to the chat, Louis R. He says, go, Cats, go. Yep. Our Panthers fan in the house. Welcome, Louis. But yeah, Mike Pelk, I'm a Ducks fan. That's my second favorite team other than the Islanders. So I have my East Coast team. That's the Islanders. My West Coast team is, unfortunately, the ridden Anaheim Ducks. The Fool in the Rain, welcome to the chat, The Fool in the Rain. He said, what time zone are you? I'm from New York, so Eastern time zone, The Fool in the Rain. Ryan said Zegras and Bedard. Yeah, as well. See, here's the thing, Ryan. It's even scarier than that. It's Trevor Zegras, Mason McTavish, and Connor Bedard. All 3 of those guys can be centers at the NHL level. That would be insane. But yeah, nonetheless, still Connor Bedard to the Ducks. I'm still hoping for that. We'll see what happens, but that's why I'm thinking I might end up doing that. I might end up doing that Friday. Columbus, Anaheim. We'll see. or I end up doing the end of the Leafs Hurricanes game. You guys can decide, but we'll see what happens. So nonetheless, guys, at the end of the day, my recap of tonight's game so far. Of course, the Avalanche just destroyed the Montreal Canadiens 8-4. Tough night for Jake Allen. He got pulled early in the second period. 8-4 was the last time I checked. With the way this game has been, it could be 8-6 final. I don't know. But a tough night for the Habs at home. Probably sent the fans home upset early and quickly. And then, of course, our featured game ended up being a great game. 2-0 Leafs. The Leafs dominated the first 25 minutes of the game. Going into the second period, the Sabres said, listen, gut check time. We need to find a way to come back. 2 big power plays for the Sabres. They didn't end up scoring. Got a ton of momentum, though. You could see the shift in momentum. And they end up coming back and getting a couple of big goals. So they didn't score on the power play, but momentum. Just get one late to make it 4-3. But a statement gut check victory for the Buffalo Sabres on the road and kind of changing the narrative of always getting dominated by the Leafs at home on the road. The Sabres come back with a big win. I'm sure the Sabres fans there in Toronto are quite happy with the win tonight. Mike Pelk said, think Seattle hangs on to a playoff spot, and are the Kraken the biggest surprise in the league? I don't think so. But to be honest, I thought the Kraken would be lower in the standings. I thought they would be a bottom 10 team. With that said, I don't think they're going to fall out of the playoffs. I think Calgary, and you could ask PJ if he comes back, unless the Flames pull off the unthinkable and somehow kind of get back into the conversation, I think the Kraken are safe for now. Not guaranteed. It's going to be late down to the wire, but the amount of ground those teams need to get, it's going to be tough. And the way the Kraken have been playing, it's been very piss poor recently. So I don't know. But that is it for tonight, guys. Expect the next time I'll talk to you guys. It's probably going to be Friday night. Friday night will probably be the next time I talk to you guys. We'll probably do a short live stream for the Leafs and Hurricanes game. That'll all be official on Friday morning. So make sure to follow us on goal_hockey on Twitter, as well as here. Subscribe to the channel at Goal Line Hockey. Check the community tab. Make sure you have notifications turned on, and I'll let you guys know when we do our next live streams. Like I said, it's going to be an interesting weekend, so expect a lot of live streams this weekend. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, and I will see you guys again next time. Peace.